Good morning, Todd. Are you out there?
Yes, I am. Sorry, you scared me.
No, you're all right. Just want, we know you're there and they're
Oh,
getting things
I
set up
can't
to
hear you
start the
now.
meeting, but it'll probably be a couple minutes. Chris is not at the podium yet. So
I
welcome.
got no sound for you.
You're the only one on Zoom besides me and the club, so I just want to make sure you were acknowledged.
I can see you. I just can't hear you.
Somebody him up on the tablet. Are you muted? I'll mute.
Good morning, York East. Please rise and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. All right, Connie is doing double duty. She's also ignoring me. Are you ready, Connie? Okay. You want to start with guests?
I think Denise. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to introduce, while he's standing, our guest speaker, Tom Davidson, who is the Pennsylvania Director for the Lincoln Highway Association. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you, York East, for that warm welcome. Nice to have you today. I think now we're ready for 50-50. Do you want to grab the basket? Oh, she's still working. All right, so I'm going to help her out a little. Karen is our big winner, $21. All right, how about happy dollars? We're working right down this agenda. Any happy dollars? All right, Karen and Lydell, I'll come to you.
I was sharing with my table this morning that last Thursday and Friday, I was able to test and successfully so the observatory, which has been offline for about 18 months. So everything went well. I'm back up and running, and hopefully some new images of the cosmos will be coming soon.
Very good. Karen.
I have two happy dollars. I just want to give out a shout out to Greg Kern and his crew. They did some two projects at my house and they look fantastic. And that's all I have because the bill was so high.
All right.
So I'm not going to say anything about the business, but I appreciate the comment, Karen. Yeah, I might have to do a discount in the next project.
That's
Um,
fine.
There you go. I have one happy dollar, maybe it's not so happy. Some of you may know or may not know, but I've been fortunate enough over the last couple of years to be able to go to, whatever bowl game Penn State has been playing. And I mean, I've been to Pasadena and Fort Worth, and, we were down in Atlanta, and Phoenix, we were in Phoenix last year. So I think probably pretty certain I don't have to plan a bowl trip this year. But on the flip side of that, that's an unhappy dollar. But for a happy dollar, I was able to see the game on Saturday, and a couple of weeks ago, Blair had commented that he had his family and they went to the Penn State game and had a really good time. We were fortunate, both of our boys, I mean, my one son is at Penn State, my other one's at Bucknell. The Bucknell student had fall break. He was able to be over for a really nice afternoon tailgate. We got to see their friends and buddies, and it was just really good. So anyway.
All right. Okay, very nice. Chris is happy.
I have 10 happy dollars. 5 for I'll say sort of kind of class reunion. Friday morning to Sunday afternoon, I spent that whole time camping with 16 of my high school friends. So you can see how times have changed when there's more water at the table than beer at the table. But the Zambuca still came out, so it still was a good time. And the other 5 was for my nephew who got married on Sunday, so at Cameron State, so it was a pretty cool event. So.
All right, thank you very much. And Connie?
As Lydell was coming in, I was lamenting about how it was so dark this morning and everything. And he just put the smile on my face because he turned that around on me and said, yes, you know, because he's happy the stars are out longer. So that's for Lydell. I have another happy dollar for the team putting on the polio event. Can't wait. It's exciting. And Tim and the whole group is doing a tremendous job. So I wanted to thank them.
All right. That leads me right into mystery bag tickets. So as you all know, I was walking around to the tables. We have mystery bag ticket, or I have the mystery bag here on the table. It is filled with lots of good things, lots of variety, something in there guaranteed for everybody. Tickets are $5 each, and you do not need to be present to win. The winning ticket will be chosen next Thursday at Pints for Polio. But we do hope that you will join us next week at Pints for Polio. It's Thursday night, the 23rd, 5 to 8:30. Tickets are $15 each. So hope to see you there. All right, so we're going to start with a little bit of trivia. October got its name from the Latin word octo, which means 8. It was originally the 8th month in the early Roman calendar, which only had 10 months. Later, when January and February were added to the start of the calendar year, October became the 10th month, but it retained its original name. Now, many of you in here should know where my source is, and I have a lottery ticket to the first person, or to any person who can tell me where I got that from. Nope. Something everybody gets. You got it. Very nice. So I hope you all are taking advantage of reading the newsletter. Wendy has done a really great job of adding different things to it. She's had favorite family recipes in last month's newsletter, and she helped me out. I didn't even have to hit ChatGPT, which was pretty darn good, but that's an idea for next week. All right. Announcements. So I have anniversaries that I'm going to share with you. Jim Walters is no longer attending our club, but he is an honorary member. He celebrates 38 years this month. Randy Nauman, who is celebrating 32 years. Jim Norton, you've been around for 28. Congratulations. Wendy Cassie is 27. And Lydell, you've hit 18 this month. Congratulations. Happy birthdays go out this month to Tim Kohler, who celebrated on the 1st, and Wendy Cassie. Also to Nate Tile, who celebrated on the 7th, along with Victoria Dick. Dan Calloway celebrates his birthday on 10/22, and everybody has to remember to wish Hunter Mink a happy birthday on the 25th of this month. So congratulations. Yes, ma'am. When's your birthday? No, the anniversary was last month. Her and Christina had the same month anniversary. Not according to Club Runner. I'll check it. Yeah. But I'll check to make sure that it's still, it is correct in Club Runner. So, all right, anybody else? Tim? Burn.
Program weekend. Well, actually, get the program out. Heads up of the event. Andy's going to do the program. Thank you, Andy. And we're going to have a meeting after this meeting today. We're going to go over step by step of that day and make sure you do the same thing. And if you have any tickets outstanding that you got free tickets to sell, you get those and let you next Tuesday that.
Okay, any other announcements? All right, put note on your calendar, the Rotary Foundation dinner is scheduled for Saturday, November the 15th from 5:30 to 9 at the Milton Hershey Purcell Friendship School in Hershey. We will have a holiday party thanks to Dawn and Todd King. That's going to be on Sunday, December the 7th, and that'll be from 5 to 9. They have a beautiful home and they're great hosts, so I hope you can join us that night. We had our board meeting last Wednesday. At the board meeting, it was decided to, I've had a couple of members who have approached me about making a club donation to honor their service, which is a fund that was being conducted through the York County Safety Co-Lab. It was for the 5 officers that were involved in the shooting. 3 were fallen, 2 survived, but have some major work to do. We have work to do. So there is an opportunity for club members to make personal donation through there. I will get that email out, probably not until tomorrow morning, because it's an online, you can do it with online, it has the information. And the club will match your member donations up to a total of $250. So our club has committed $250 to that fund. Anybody has any questions, you can touch base with me after the meeting or send me an email. And also the international mission trip has been postponed to the spring. Connie assures me that this is going to be a great trip, a great program, and I have all the faith and confidence. So I think it'll be great. All right, Crystal Perry, you're going to come up and do a quick classification speech. It can be really quick.
It is definitely. So she asked me last week to talk a little bit of being a new member and how I am about me. So a lot of you guys first met me when I spoke here about human trafficking. My background is working with survivors of human trafficking, sexual assault, domestic violence. Last week I finished my first full week. I stepped out of that world and I am now the executive director of Friends and Neighbors. A lot of you guys might know them, homeless outreach, drop-in center, things like that. It's very exciting. I've been telling everybody it's weird. It's like you're in another country where some of the words you understand, but everything else is different. Trauma-informed care, I get it, but it's very different. I have been married 24 years. I have 4 children. And fun fact, I was telling them at the table, my husband says I have empty nest. So I have 87 different plants, not in doubles, 3 parrots and a duck that live in my house. My husband said I'm acquiring everything to take care of since I don't take care of my children anymore. But I'll be a grandmom in January, so maybe I can cut back. But yeah, so I've really enjoyed being here. I've been to one event so far outside of this building. I'm excited for next Thursday, and getting to know you guys a lot better.
All right, thank you, Crystal. It's always nice to learn a little bit more about our new members. Andy, I think you're up to introduce our speaker.
Good morning. We're gonna hold this out there so I don't have to use my glasses. Tom Davidson is a Pennsylvania native and a passionate advocate for preserving and sharing the history of the Lincoln Highway, otherwise known as Route 30. He currently serves as the volunteer president of the Pennsylvania chapter of the Lincoln Highway Association. He has published research in the National Lincoln Highway Journal and frequently speaks at community events about the significance of the Lincoln Highway in Pennsylvania's transportation and cultural history. Today, Tom's here to tell us about his work, as well as an exciting upcoming event, the Lincoln Highway Association Conference, which will be held right here in York in June 2026. Please join me in welcoming Tom Davidson.
Okay.
Good morning. I am a Pennsylvania native, but I'm from southwestern Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area. Whoops. So you may hear me say foreign words like gum bands, pop. I better stop there, but live in New Freedom with my wife and 3 of our 4 children. Our oldest, Heather, is in Asheville, North Carolina. So recently retired. So not used to getting up this early. I better get used to it. But it's good to be with you, and going to talk to you about something that we don't think about. You know, we drive everywhere, we go on our roads, but do you think about the history of our transportation history of our roads? On your tables, you have this lovely brochure. I seem to be getting a lot of feedback, I'm sorry. Move that down a little. And as every year, the Lincoln Highway Association, it's a national organization, they host a conference somewhere along the highway. It's in a different state every year. Last summer, I traveled to Nebraska and invite our organization to come to Pennsylvania for our 250th anniversary. So we have people already signed up to come here from places like California, Texas, the Midwest. And this conference is our opportunity to showcase our community. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. If you turn it over, I want to especially note thanks for all the support we've received from Explore York. All the people there do a wonderful job to promote our community. And thank you, Andy, for that. So a lot of people ask me, what is the Lincoln Highway? Some people may even live on it and they don't realize they're part of the nation's first transcontinental highway. Okay. Sorry. I appreciate our AV guys here because I'd be hopeless. And Lincoln Highway was the first transcontinental highway for automobiles established in 1913. And it took people coast to coast. Okay. All right. And first question I want to ask you is, do you remember where you were in 1976, that should say, on our 200th anniversary, our bicentennial? Do you remember? 50 years ago. I think most of us were here. Okay. Yeah. But this picture here is something they did during the bicentennial. People from every state took wagons along the Lincoln Highway and they met in Valley Forge. This picture is from downtown Chambersburg. You might recognize the fountain that's there along the Lincoln Highway. But can you imagine going from Oregon to Pennsylvania in a covered wagon? It's part of our history. Maybe that's how your ancestors got to where they settled, by covered wagon. So as I mentioned, the Lincoln Highway goes from New York City to San Francisco. And to many people, it's considered America's Main Street because it goes through every town along the way. Here in Pennsylvania, it goes from Philadelphia to Lancaster to York, all the way to Pittsburgh. Just want to mention real quickly some of the key people. You know, we take for granted that the government has always built roads, maintained roads. That's not the case. In the early 20th century, we had automobiles, but we did not have good roads for people to drive. This is a picture of Carl Fisher. Anyone hear of him before? Beyond, he had a headlight company for automobiles, Presta Light, made his fortune doing that. And he also established the Indianapolis 500. He developed Miami Beach, along with the Lincoln Highway. Henry Joy was one of the leaders in this movement also. He was the president of the Packard Motor Car. So when you talk about these people, they aren't government officials. They're people that said, we need better roads and we're going to get it done. So maybe today, these are the people that say, I'm going to build a rocket to go to outer space. You know, they found a way to get it done. And at that time, that was about the same thing. A lot of these roads were called named trails. This one was named as in memorial for President Abraham Lincoln. Many of you may be more familiar with the named trail that kept its name, the Susquehanna Trail, but that was more of a regional road. I like this quote at the bottom. It says, every American motorist has within him or her something of the feeling that prompted our pioneer forefathers to explore the new and unknown. So maybe you feel that way when you know, the freedom of the road when you go on a road trip. But this is, you know, they considered exploring in their automobiles as important as the pioneers. So why, I had this question at the table, why does the Lincoln Highway, if it starts in New York City, go through Philadelphia? And the primary reason is that was the best roads at the time. They wanted the most direct trip. On this map, you see a bunch of purple. What do you think that purple is? Mountains. There was not a good road at the time across northern Pennsylvania. So they dropped down to Philadelphia and then they followed this network. We had a network of private toll roads across Pennsylvania. The Pennsylvania Turnpike wasn't our first toll road. It was this network of private toll roads that after the Revolution, Government didn't have money to build any roads. So they authorized these different private companies to build these toll roads. The Black Line is probably the most famous. It went from Lancaster to Philadelphia, primarily to take goods to the port of Philadelphia. And then you see, you know, when I look at this map, you may not think of it, but they represent the history of our various wars. The Black Line from Philadelphia to York represents our Revolutionary War history. The Green Line out in Western Pennsylvania were military roads, Forbes Road, built specifically for the French and Indian War as the English were trying to push the French out of Pittsburgh. And I don't know if you can see the dates there, but in the middle, those three little, the red and the gold in the middle, the gold one is the York and Gettysburg Turnpike. Those were built later because we were much more oriented towards Baltimore, the port of Baltimore, than Philadelphia. But if you look at that middle section, that's pretty much where our Civil War history took place along these roads. So one question I get from people all the time, can I drive the Lincoln Highway today? We have an online map. You can go coast to coast, follow yourself on the online map, enjoy the trip. I have on this table over here, if you'd like, a free driving guide for South Central Pennsylvania. And you can explore the Lincoln Highway that way. I want to point out that the Lincoln Highway was the first national memorial to President Abraham Lincoln. Before the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., the Lincoln Highway was established. On the right is a statue that's in Wilkinsburg, right outside of Pittsburgh. And that statue was built from donations from school children that wanted to remember the president. After World War I, a lot of memorial trees were planted along the Lincoln Highway coast to coast. Any idea where this monument is in York County? It's in Wrightsville. After they planted all these memorial trees in memory of the fallen soldiers, the Women's Club of York put up this monument, which is in Wrightsville, and there's also one just east of Abbottstown. It says, lest we forget, this highway for 25 miles westward across York County was planted with trees by the people of the county and dedicated by them to be forever a road of remembrance. These trees are gone now because the road was made wider. Just over time, they disappeared. There are some of these memorial trees still west of Gettysburg in the original stretch of the Lincoln Highway between Cashtown and McKnightstown. This picture is more recent. Where did they plant memorial trees more recently? Along the Susquehanna Trail. They did it first along the Lincoln Highway, and I guess they had more people they wanted to remember. And the people then planted memorial trees along the Susquehanna Trail. And recently, because so many of those trees were gone, they died, a group planted these trees along the Susquehanna Trail. After World War I, the Army decided we're going to take an Army convoy across the country. And Eisenhower was among those that were on this trip. And they found out, especially west of the Mississippi River, our roads were terrible. You were either stuck in mud or stuck in sand in the desert. And this trip had a profound impact on Eisenhower and led, along with his service in Europe of World War II, of what led to the development of our interstate highway system. Involved with a group that's going to, working with PBS to premiere a documentary next year called After Ike. We're hoping to host a premier event, hopefully in Newark with WITF. So watch for that if you're interested, those that are interested in military history. But as you can see, they're not having much fun here along the road. And this was supposed to be the best road in the United States at the time in 1919. They didn't have GPS. They didn't have maps. How did they get along? They put signs along the road. And it evolved. They painted the Lincoln Highway emblem on utility poles. They had porcelain signs. Finally, right before the government took over the roads, they put up these 1928 concrete posts all along the country. There's still 2 in the ground here in York County. There were dozens initially. The final thing is something you'll still see today in South Central PA is this sign put up by the Lincoln Highway Heritage Corridor. So when you navigated, you just looked out your windshield. You might have had a driving guide like this that says, go to the center of York. And, you know, if you had to turn, it would tell you to turn right or left or go straight. But their navigation was look out your windshield, decide which way you're going to go. And to stay on the Lincoln Highway, they followed these signs. This bridge is the Pennsylvania Railroad Bridge. And it was the only bridge that automobiles could cross the river, Susquehanna River, until 1930, when the current concrete arch bridge was built. It was owned by the Pennsylvania Railroad, so what do you think they did? They charged tolls. They were really high tolls, and it took the business community in York and Lancaster County about over a decade to convince the powers to be that we need to build a dedicated automobile bridge across the Susquehanna. And their PennDOT right now is going through a process to rehabilitate the Columbia Wrightsville Memorial Bridge. You know, at that time, they did what they called endurance races. Or, you know, speed races. People would just get out on the open road and see who had the better automobile. This race went all the way across the country to Oregon, had the most expensive, powerful cars in the country in this race. Guess who won this race? The Model T, because it was the lightest and it didn't get stuck in the mud. Okay, this is just saying that our transportation history, we went from covered bridges. This is actually 30 out west in the early 20th century. And this is the bridge I just mentioned when they were constructing it in 1929, Columbia Wrightsville Bridge. You can see in the background that railroad bridge that's no longer there. The piers are there, but the bridge is no longer there. We don't think about it today, but it was challenging for the bridges to get up and over the mountains. And last year we had hosted, it was the 10 millionth Model T that was built in 1924. They were reenacting that trip from New York City to San Francisco. I'm sorry to say that it broke down going over our mountains and they had to put a new engine in their Model T. They were not happy, but they were from Nebraska, so I don't think they realized what a challenge it would be going over even our lower mountains. If you want to dig deeper into the Lincoln Highway here just in York County, I guess this is one of my pandemic projects. I created a website called lincolnhighwaypa.com, and I have different locations along there. I have different stories that we share about the Lincoln Highway in York County. You can go on there and check it out. One thing the Lincoln Highway is known for, it's called programmatic architecture, roadside attractions. This is our infamous shoe house. And I prepared the application with PHMC for them to get their own historical marker a few years ago. It was originally a guest house. Most of you probably remember it as a place to go get ice cream, but it's a guest house again, and you can stay there overnight. It's one of the most unique lodging options you have. So check that out and enjoy a unique experience. Lincoln Highway after World War II was the era of roadside motels. The Modern Air Motel is unique in that it has streamlined modern architecture. Your speaker last month, Blake Gifford, did a drawing of the Modern Air for us as part of our most recent project. They're now talking about removing it for development, which is the story time and time again along the Lincoln Highway as more traffic has come along. What we did is we were able to receive from the owner the iconic neon sign that's out front. And we raised money this past year to have it restored, and we're going to put it in the Agricultural and Industrial Museum in York, along with the original Lee's Diner neon sign. So, you know, a lot of times people don't think of mid-20th century as part of our history, but if we don't take action now to preserve things from our childhood, they'll be gone. Some of you may remember different entertainment along the Lincoln Highway. Playland, anyone remember Playland? Maybe going roller skating, or they had a pool and other things. And also the drive-in movie. You had the Lincoln Drive-In Theater west of town. What was on the east side of town? What was the drive-in called? Stony Brook. So we don't have drive-in movie theaters. I'm still trying to figure out how I could do a pop-up drive-in theater during our conference, but we haven't figured that out yet. And of course, early service stations. Lincoln Highway Garage is very familiar to people because of its location and all the different styles of gasoline it's sold. Recently, some people repainted the Welcome to York City sign, and they tied in some of the Lincoln Highway history there. This is Paul Godfrey, a local artist. One of the things we're going to have at our conference is we're going to host, hopefully throughout the entire month of June, a Lincoln Highway themed art exhibit. And that will be at the York College Center for Community Engagement. Right now we're have a call for artists, and we've received some wonderful submissions, and we're gonna have that art on display. That's the former Lafayette Club, if you're not familiar with the new name, but great to partner with them to do the art exhibit, and we're going to do some presentations there also. Places to eat along the Lincoln Highway: diners, Lancaster, got to get your shoe fly pie at Dutch Haven. And this is, again, another example of programmatic architecture, since people driving along the road are not expecting to see a windmill. People driving along the road aren't expecting to see a giant shoe. And, you know, you think of earlier signs you might see at a pharmacy or an eye doctor along the road. As the automobile came along, people were moving along faster than in their horse and wagon. So business owners came up with a way to get their attention as they were driving by. I remember growing up, Idlewild Amusement Park is in Western Pennsylvania. That's where my father's company picnic was held every summer. So I have memories from there. This is Dutch Wonderland on the left. Maybe some of you have memories there. They're still open, and they're still entertaining families that are driving along the Lincoln Highway. Shifting gears a little bit, Yorktown Hotel was built in 1925 to provides services to tourists driving along Lincoln Highway. They're celebrating their 100th anniversary. I believe they're having a party. Is it this Friday night? Open to the public, free. You want to check that out? And one thing I want to mention along with that is, you know, people that could not travel, like most people could, people of color had their own green book, so they could see where they could stay and get reliable services. Yorktown was not initially in the green book, it was later on, but you might be familiar with that movie of that title and the challenges that different people faced traveling in the early 20th century, discrimination. Speaking of firsts, the first woman to drive by herself across the country was a silent movie actress, Anita King. She was called the Paramount Girl. She made it all the way from San Francisco to New York City. She was followed by the media. She was adored wherever she stopped. She stopped in York and Lancaster along the way. This picture is when she stopped in Reading, Pennsylvania. But, you know, at the time, the question was, could a woman drive by herself across the country? She proved them wrong. Sticking with the entertainment theme, a lot of people say, well, why wasn't there ever a Lincoln Highway TV show, you know, get your kicks on Route 66 kind of thing? Well, they had something. It was a weekly radio show because that was the entertainment at the time. It's an earlier period. More recently, how many people have read Armour Toll's novel, The Lincoln Highway? Great book. They're actually making it into a movie. Some historians of the Lincoln Highway aren't too thrilled about it because it's fiction. And it doesn't necessarily represent the highway always accurately, but I love it because it's raising the awareness of the Lincoln Highway. Just real quickly, heading west, you may recognize in Gettysburg, this here. That was originally a garage for automobiles to park. And when they finally paved the Lincoln Highway between Gettysburg and Chambersburg in the early 20s, they had what was called the Triangle Tour, and they had a big celebration in Caledonia Park, and they had thousands of people come out to celebrate good roads. Chambersburg, you'll see some of these roadside giants, and that's the fountain in the middle. Bedford is a wonderful Lincoln Highway town. You can see the coffee pot at the Bedford County Fairgrounds. This is an Art Deco gas station that unfortunately recently closed, so we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen to it. This is the last remaining motor court along Lincoln Highway, just west of Bedford, called Lincoln Motor Court, where they have little cabins that you can stay in. And there's other transportation related places to visit, such as the Flight 93 Memorial. And I'll just end with this part of the presentation with talking about the Lincoln Highway experience in Latrobe. Again, they put out this driving guide. There's a museum there you can visit to see that. How we celebrate our semi-quincentennial 250th. Anyone planning to take a wagon train ride? Maybe not. What you can do is you can join us for our conference, our celebration, Road to Independence. I did want to mention, I did work with a class in York College to help develop our theme, our logo, and we're celebrating all of our transportation history. Real quick, we have a website, it's on your flyer, lincoln250pa.org. We're going to be based out of the Yorktown. We're going to have an opening reception at the Valencia. During the week, we're somehow going to coordinate 7 bus tours throughout South Central Pennsylvania. I mentioned the art exhibit, we're gonna have presentations. And even if you're not coming to the entire conference, you can sign up to go to individual events. If something's of interest, go on the website. And like most nonprofit endeavors, what are we looking for? If anyone would like to help volunteer or become a sponsor of our conference, please talk to me. One of the challenges we're facing is, for example, when we want to show York City, we're going to have to break everybody up into smaller groups. And we're looking for some volunteer ambassadors to help them see the different places. So thank you very much. And I hope to see you driving along the Lincoln Highway.
Does anybody have any questions for Tom? Yep.
I'm sorry.
You know where the 100th anniversary of York was celebrated?
The centennial, 1876?
Yes.
I'll have to look that up.
I happened to pick up a medal at a yard sale for $5.
There you go.
I took it to the Historic Society and they said it was original.
Wow.
So at some point, we'll use that for fundraising.
I like the way she thinks. All right, Tom. To thank you for your presentation. That was very, very interesting. We have a book for you to choose, a children's book that is going to be donated to either the YWCA or Children's Aid Society. I really tried to find something about transportation, but I'm limited to a day at the airport. So that's one of the choices. And I do want to mention Bob Straw and his wife owned the Modern Mare. And they were a long time, he was a longtime member of our club. So,
Good to know.
yeah. All right, folks, thank you very much. Next week, we're scheduled to be in the wine bar, which I do believe is in this building. You're going to enter the doors like you are coming into the ballroom, but instead of turning left, turn right and go down the steps. So we will see you there. Thank you very much. We're adjourned.